the advanced economies, the emerging economies, and all groups of countries have actually slowed down in 2019 when compared to the averages for 2014 to 2018. In a globalized economy, India has also felt that effect. But there is one important aspect on which I will delve into greater detail, which needs attention from the perspective of the Indian economy, which is the financial sector. This chart shows the share of corporate loans in non-fruit credit starting from 2007 to 2019. What is quite relevant here to notice is this boom and bust, with 2013 being the peak when the share of corporate loans reached their peak. After that, it has decreased. Now, what is the impact of this on investment? If you want to understand the impact of this on investment, we can do the following exercise, which is take a 10-year period, split it into two 5-year halves, look at the credit that a firm takes in the first 5 years, and then correlate it with the investment that the firm does in the next half. Now, if suppose the credit that they've taken actually is affecting investment negatively in the next 5-year period, then you should see a negative correlation with 2013 as being the break year. And that is the exercise that is being shown in the table. This is the result from regressions that we've run. What you see clearly is that it is indeed 2013 and the 10-year period from 2008 to 2017 where there is this negative correlation. In other words, firms that actually borrowed a lot more from 2008 to 2012 were indeed the firms that they also actually invested less from 2013 to 2017. Now, how does this affect GDP growth? As we had showed in the last economic survey on the virtuous cycle, the virtuous cycle originates from private investment, which affects economic growth with a lag, and thereby consumption, and that's how the virtuous cycle proceeds. Now, what is important here is what is being shown on the right, which is the correlation of investment with GDP growth, with both contemporaneously and with lags. I want you to pay particular attention to the one that is being shown with the arrow, which is the correlation with a 4-year lag, which is what is the impact on GDP growth this year due to the investment done 4 years back. That has a very strong positive correlation. If you look at the contemporaneous correlation, which is being shown in black, that is negative. Now, this is important for us to understand because as I just showed, the peak of the credit happened in 2013, and after that, there has been actually a decline in credit, which has affected investment as well. And it's that 4-year lag as a result of which the slowdown in investment has led to the growth slide, starting from 2017 onwards. Now, it is in this context that we actually focus in this year's economic survey on the theme of wealth creation. Wealth is both a cause and an effect of investment, especially private investment. Therefore, it is important for us to focus on wealth creation. In this context, it is quite pertinent to go back and look at the history, the recorded economic history. This chart shows that for close to 3/4 of recorded economic history, India has been the dominant economic power in the world. So this chart goes from 1 AD to 2017. Obviously, the first 1,000 years are actually not up to scale. 1 to 1,000 is being shown in a smaller period on the x-axis. But what is critical here is that for 3/4 of recorded economic history, India has been the dominant economic power. Such dominance does not happen by mere chance. Such dominance happens by design. And what is that element of design? It is indeed our emphasis on wealth. If you think about what our traditions say for the 4 noble human pursuits, which is dharma, arth, kam, moksha, arth is indeed about wealth. The canonical example, the canonical literature that is talked about is Arthashastra, but even many of our other ancient traditions also advocate wealth as wealth and wealth creation as indeed a noble pursuit. A very important piece of Tamil literature, which is the Tirukkural, talks about this in the chapter 76. Wealth, the lamp unfailing, speeds to every land, dispensing darkness at its Lord's command. Now, that is ancient thought, but how does that correlate with evidence that we have in recent times? To provide contemporary evidence on this, the exercise that we've done is to look at the top 100 entrepreneurs as measured using the Forbes list as of 2019, looked at the wealth that they've created over the last 10 years, applied necessary filters to ensure that the wealth was created in the right way, and correlated it with various other aspects of society. In this chart, what you see is that as there is an increase in the wealth created by our entrepreneurs, the largest entrepreneurs, the employees actually benefit as well from the salaries and the jobs that they get. A second dimension is those firms that supply to the firms of these entrepreneurs. And here, what is being shown is that the wealth created by these entrepreneurs benefits the suppliers as well because they end up supplying to these firms. A third way of looking at it is the foreign exchange revenue, which you all would understand matters for macro stability because those revenues affect our current account deficit and in turn macro stability. What you see here is that the wealth created by these entrepreneurs also correlates strongly with foreign exchange revenues. A final aspect is what goes to the citizen through the government as the taxes that are paid by these entrepreneurs. What is being shown here is the direct taxes paid by these entrepreneurs, which clearly is an underestimate because there are various other indirect taxes that are also paid. But what is important here is a strong correlation between the wealth created by these entrepreneurs and the direct taxes that are paid. Because, and this goes back to what the Honorable Prime Minister said in his Independence Day speech, unless wealth is created, it cannot be distributed. And for distribution, it's basically taxes that are the primary instrument. Now, as I had mentioned, that India dominated economic activity for 3/4 of known economic history, and that doesn't happen by accident, it requires design. So what is that element of the design that indeed led to such economic dominance? The economic